remember seeing it somewhere. Where did I see it? Oh, hold on, wasn't it, one of these things? Pretty sure it was.
I need something else for this.
Ha, here it is. Thought I might have recognized it. Aha. Okay. Got one of those. Okay. Okay, that isn't creepy at all. Okay, I just seen if I can maybe use this on the hole, but apparently not, so still need to figure out how to do those things. What the fuck? I was just playing around with that. Okay, that just happened. Well, okay, I just got this in my inventory. Is that from the teeth thing?
John Penbelin.
Okay, I found this apparently. Didn't realize this was here. Okay, now faraway place beside from pond since gone dry, there lived a frog named Granny. Granny was content to live by himself and never ventured into the pond. For back then it was a fearsome place, full of crocodiles that lurked beneath the surface, just waiting for the tasty little morsel like Granny to swim by. One day a beautiful princess appeared on the other side of the pond. Like Granny, she was by herself, for she had been unfairly banished from her father's kingdom. Sometimes at night, Granny could hear her singing sad songs and talking to herself out of loneliness. He longed to swim across the pond so they could keep each other company, but he knew the crocodiles would eat him if he tried. So he sat on the shores croaking, mournfully in the sunlight, all alone. Then one day a kind-hearted water fairy appeared in the mist above the swamp that surrounded the pond, and told Granny that she would help him cross the pond so that he and the princess could be together. How? Granny asked. I cannot swim across for the crocodiles are fast and fierce, and have eaten most of my friends and relatives. That dare count. And there's a thing there. Oh, is that for the triangles? I wonder. You will not have to swim, the water fairy replied, for I shall make a path for you. And don't forget, crocodiles tend to hide in the middle of the pond and near trees, and they hate boats. With that, a lily pad suddenly appeared in the pond in front of Granny. Although he was still afraid, he summoned his courage and hopped onto it. Then another lily pad appeared, and after that another, then another. Granny leapt from one to the next, and his tiny heart pounding in his chest, until at long last he leapt from the last lily pad onto the dock where the princess sat. She was delighted to see the little frog, and when she realized that Granny had made the perilous journey across the pond just to be with her, she smiled at him for the first time since her banishment. So grateful was she for Granny's company that she gave the water fairy a bright red key, which the water fairy soon put to use. Okay, I'm guessing the red key I'm going to get from wherever that was. Okay, they lived happily ever after. Okay, I want to go back, because it had these. Okay, well, I'm figuring the triangles has something to do with this book, because this actually has all four of the symbols. So, I was just trying to read, and I'm guessing I need to figure out like all the things there. So, yeah, that one's earth. Then that one is water. Then air and fire. So, not entirely sure how I'm gonna actually figure this one out. So. Oh, okay. I was just looking around and I remembered this, so. Oh, okay, this is interesting. Okay, I don't know which order these go in, so. Great. Got no idea. Well, at least I found out this. Okay, so now I have another puzzle.
Oh, Susanna, don't you cry for me. I've come from Alabama with a banjo on my knee. Dee-dee-dee-dee. Hello.
Hey, I didn't know I could actually go over here. Okay.
That's my family tree. Ask me anything about anyone. Go on, ask me.
Okay, this is interesting. I didn't know that was there. Okay.
Hello, no one is available to take your call. Please leave a message after the tone.
Who was Alan?
He was my grandfather, but I didn't know him because he died when I was little. I guess he was nice.
Okay, well I'm gonna go through every single one of them. See what she knows.
Who was Malachi?
He was a doctor of medicine and did a lot of research on icky skin diseases. Happily, I'm blessed with perfect skin.
Who was John, the one who was born in 1873?
He was this huge naturalist and did a lot of exploration in the Amazon. I think there's a plant named after him. Or maybe a monkey, I forget.
Who was William?
He was an explorer, just like his father. He was kind of a whiner, so I heard.
Oh god, I had to go through all these as well. I was just thinking, oh great, this is gonna take a while.
What do you know about Letitia?
Loves plants, hates noise. You can ask her about it. She's usually in the conservatory with her plants.
Well, she's quite old then, born in 1925.
Who was Rachel?
She died in France during the war. I guess she worked for the French resistance.
Tell me about Obadiah.
He lived in the US for most of his life and married this weird woman named Eustacia. She's still alive and sometimes calls us. She's totally creepy.
Who was Esther?
Esther Pemberlin Ronberg, born in 1897 and died in 1951. Her friends called her Polly.
What did Nahum do?
He died in the flu epidemic.
Tell me about Rose.
It's a real sad story. She and her granddaughter Rachel lived in France during the war and were killed.
What did Sophia do?
She was a big collector of Impressionist artwork, but most of it was destroyed in a fire.
Tell me about Arthur.
He lived in the Wild West in the Americas and was a bandit with El Diablo's gang.
Were Cassandra and Hector twins?
Uh-huh. Cassandra was totally obsessed with lawn tennis and was one of the first people in England to have a court installed at her home. Hector was the first ball boy.
Were Cassandra and Hector twins?
Uh-huh. Cassandra was totally obsessed with lawn tennis and was one of the first people in England to have a court installed at her home. Hector was the first ball boy.
Okay, that just repeated the same thing.
Who was Cynthia?
I don't know. I'm kind of tired right now.
Wow, Catherine sure lived for a long time.
She lived the longest of any pen villain. I hope I live that long, but not if I'm all, like, creaky and cranky.
Yeah, she lived to be 101. Wow.
Who was Cynthia?
I don't know. I'm kind of tired right now.
Tell me about Edward, the one from the 19th century.
He was a big explorer and went all over the world. He wasn't very close with his son, who was also an explorer. They'd only see each other by chance in weird remote places like Samarkand and Walla Walla.
Who was Caroline?
Caroline was a chemist and helped identify the element lanthanum. I'm not sure what the element does. I think it's a heavy metal.
Who was the William who died so young?
He was Edward's little brother. He named his son after him.
I was saying you lived to be 13. That's young.
Tell me about Richard.
He died in Waterloo fighting against Napoleon.
Tell me about Brigitte, the one born in 1759.
She never married and was bonkers for astronomy. She adopted her sister's son, Richard, who later got killed at Waterloo.
Who was Peter?
Let's see. He had a wooden leg and he was attacked by wolves once. That's all I remember.
Who was born in 1763?
That was Isabel. She wrote many letters about the French Revolution and actually saw Marat's dead body in the bathtub. Talk about gross!
Okay, that's kind of disturbing.
Who was Jacques?
Don't laugh, but he invented the lawnmower bag in 1831. I swear I'm totally not making this up.
Tell me about Martha.
She was completely daft. She'd wear really bizarre outfits, and she was one of the first women to ride on a steam train.
What do you know about John?
He was an opera singer, just like my mom. He sang in some Mozart operas, I think.
Who's Penelope?
I don't know much about her except that she was very loved by practically everyone in England, and there were 1 million poems written about her. If I have a boyfriend, I'd never let him write a poem about me. Blech.
It looks like George and his brother Henri died in the same year. What happened?
They were lost at sea. I guess they traveled a lot to Canada, especially to Oak Island.
Oh, that's kind of depressing.
It looks like George and his brother Henri died in the same year. What happened?
Okay,
They
it
were
seems
lost at
that
sea. I guess they traveled a lot to Canada, especially to Oak Island.
it seems whenever she mentions two people at once, they'll repeat same thing.
Who's
both of them.
Mary Ann?
She got shipwrecked on this deserted island with a whole bunch of yahoos, and they wrote a story about it. Yeah, that's it.
That's Gilligan's Island, if I'm correct. If I'm right.
Tell me about Jean.
Hello, it's pronounced John. He was killed by a boar on a hunting trip. They eat people's flesh, you know? No, I'm kidding. But he really did get killed by a boar. Serves him right, though, for hunting some poor little animal.
And Philippe?
He made a fortune in the New World and bought back most of the lands that were confiscated by Cromwell.
Who was Théophile?
He lived most of his life on the island of Mauritius and discovered like 1 million plant species.
Tell me about Brigitte, the one who was born in the 17th century.
She was absolutely mad about cricket, the game, not the insect. She actually saw the first cricket match in 1744. Personally, though, I can't stand the sport.
I definitely agree with you there.
Tell me about Corbin.
I don't know. He doesn't have a coat of arms in the Great Hall because he didn't live here. Wasn't even a British subject, that's all I know.
What about Colin?
Oh, this is so cool. They say he was a spy for England, even though he lived in France. Isn't that so very? I'd like to be a spy.
Who was Frederic?
He was a soldier for the French. He was killed in the War of Spanish Succession in July of 1702.
Who was Helene?
Can we stop soon? Helene married the Duke of Bouville and died in 1760. End of story.
Sorry, I'm just trying to get through all this. Oh, we still got a whole heap more to go. Sorry.
Who was Edward?
He lived in France with his father, Le Comte de Roquefort. He He was very interested in languages and translated books from Greek and Latin.
Who was Virginie?
She was married to the Duke of Barrowbold and died in the Great Fire of London.
Tell me about Francois.
He was a dwarf and became a trusted confidant to Louis XIV. Little people often held positions of great esteem at that time.
What can you tell me about Eleanor?
Just that she was burned as a witch, but it wasn't true, and her father, James, died when he saw her die. And then the family fled to France. I don't want to talk about this.
Okay.
Who's James?
He never married, but one day, when he was very old, a baby was found at the doorstep to the manor. He took her in and raised her as his own. That was Eleanor.
Who was Elizabeth?
Like the Queen of England? Oh, you mean Elizabeth, my ancestor. It's weird that she's the only ancestor named Elizabeth, since it's such a popular name.
What did Francis do?
He got into a big fight with his brother James and lived in France.
Tell me about Geoffrey.
I'd rather not. I'm kind of bored. Wouldn't you rather play a game?
Can you tell me about George, the one born in 1566?
Nah, he lived and died. End of story.
Who was Gillian?
She married the Duke of Ballingsford, but she stayed at Blackmoor to raise her son Thomas, who inherited the estate when his grandfather Charles died.
Tell me about Garrett.
He drowned on his 19th birthday.
Wow, that's depressing.
Who was Charles?
Oh, Charles was a famous judge and wrote very important books on law. But his boy, Garrett, drowned while he was really young.
Tell me about Edmund.
He was into cows. He did a lot of breeding of cows and sheep and got some kind of award from the king.
Who was Nicolina?
She died when she was a baby. I have many ancestors who died young, but Ethel said that Penvillans in general live a long time.
Tell me about Walter.
He was born in 1448 or 9. I'm kind of bored doing this right now.
Who was Marge?
I forget. I think she was... I don't know.
Okay, almost done. Last page.
Tell me about Albert.
He was very mysterious, and the people of Blackmoor were afraid of him because he knew all these scientific things. No one knows much about him, though.
Tell me about Lucia.
Isn't that a pretty name? If I have a daughter, I'll name her that.
Who was Joan? Is that misspelled?
No, that's how they spelled it then. She got married to this duke somewhere in Flanders.
Who was Adam?
Like he married Eve. Duh, no kidding. I actually don't know anything about him. I think he was the son of Hugo, though, but I forget.
Who was Robertus?
He was a knight, but died in some kind of jousting tournament. He was twins with Josephus.
Who was Josephus?
Yeah, they used a lot of Latin names back then and weird spellings. He became like a priest or parson or something.
Who was Anisha?
A nun.
Who was Jeanette?
It's Genet. I think he wrote plays, maybe. I don't know, I forget.
And Hugo?
He had a lot of kids, and his dates were 1401 to 1466.
What about Milo?
Milo inherited not only his grandfather's red hair, but his military prowess. Milo was instrumental in the siege of Caen and was awarded even more lands by Henry V.
What do you know about Cecilia?
She married the Lord of Limerick and did a lot of needlework. She had a ton of kids too, like 20. Can you imagine?
What about Jacobus?
He died when he was like 9.
Who was Agatha?
She was a nun. I think she lived in Ireland.
Who was Marjorie?
She died when she was a little girl. It was really sad.
Oh, a lot of them have died when they were kids.
What did Guido do?
He made pizza. No, I'm joking, of course. I don't know anything about him except that he died in 1433 because he outlived all of his siblings.
Tell me about Simon.
He lived from 1358 to 1412. No, 1411. We don't know very much about him.
Who was Anor?
He was Odo's brother.
Odo. That's an odd name.
Yeah, he isn't very exciting, really. Like farming and cows. His son Milo is much more interesting.
All I can think of is Odo from Star Trek Deep Space Nine.
Tell me about Randolph.
Randolph the Red, so named for his bright red hair, was considered a hero at the Battle of Poitiers. For his heroism, King Edward III awarded him with the lands in the region called Penvelin. That's how we got our name.
Okay, that's it. God, that was a long one. Okay, I didn't actually get anything in there. If I can actually close that. Okay. Let's have a look around to see what else I can do.
Yes?
Do you believe that Blackmoor Manor is haunted?
No, of course not. I've lived here for many, many years, and I can tell you without a doubt that absolutely no ghosts walk these halls. An occasional odd creak here and there, yes, but no ghosts. But
What
I
the
do
fuck?
sometimes wonder if those who have passed
What?
away remain with us, lingering on. I miss my brother
Okay.
terribly, and
I found something.
sometimes wonder if he's
Don't know what
in
has
some
to
way
do with the
still
game, but
here.
okay.
Goodbye.
The pleasure is all mine, child.
Uh-oh. Shoot, here we go again.
Oh great. This is interesting. I have no glue stick and I'm in the dark alone. Okay, hopefully I'll be able to actually find my way out. Okay, we're going up this way. Okay, just continue going up. Okay, open the door. Okay, just continue going out, please. Ah, yes, I actually got it out. Oh my god, I actually thought I wasn't gonna make it out of there. Okay, remind myself never to do that again. Okay, well, I am going to end the part here because I've been going on for quite a while. I have no idea how to do any of these puzzles. Hopefully I'll be able to figure out next time. Yeah, I hope you guys are enjoying this Let's Play, and I'll see you guys next time.